Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show and Tell, because today I'm going to show you my data pack and tell you all about it. Now, this is the Spiral Data Pack 2.0 that is going to be available in Everdark, and I can't wait to get into it. So the very first thing that you're going to get whenever you join the Everdark server is going to be a strange book. Now, this strange book is written by question mark, who is totally not me, by the way. Spooky. Ooh. Anyway, by using this book, you will get to bind your soul to one of 9 different elements: fire, water, earth, air, nature, darkness, light, space, and blade. So, these are all pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go ahead and pick the fire one because I like to blow stuff up. So you notice that now there's a message that popped up in the bottom left-hand side of the screen that says that my soul's been bound to fire, and I now have 2 new items. I have the Spellcaster and the Spiral Tome. Now you'll notice that from the outside, if you're holding the caster, it's invisible. It's not in your hand. I mean, you can still tell that it's there, but it's a little harder for people to notice something like that. But when you're looking at it, it's pretty obvious that you're holding it. Now, one of the key differences between the Duality Spiral data pack and the Everdark Spiral data pack is going to be the casting method. So, a few things that are different about the pack is that you can bind up to 5 spells to this one caster, and you can activate them all pretty much on the fly. So, the way that you do that is just by clicking left click, right click, shift left click, shift right click, and space shift jump, and those are your keybinds to cast a spell. Now you can have any spell bound to any of those keybinds, and they will work. And I'll show you how to do it real quick. But before we get into that, a couple more things that I want to point out is that down here at the bottom, you can see that there's a new element to the GUI that is only there when you're holding the caster. Whenever you let it go, it disappears because you don't really need it. Because you're only going to be able to cast spells when you're holding the caster. So what do you want to see that for? So in order to cast spells, you need 3 things. You need the caster, you need enough will to cast a spell, and you need to have knowledge of the spell. And the Spiral Tome will say pretty much the same thing. So if we go into it, this is pretty much going to be like your guide as far as how to go ahead and unlock the things in the data pack. Now, I do want to make this clear that just because we have spells in the tome, it does not mean that those are the only spells that you can learn. You can learn more. In fact, there's going to be situations where you're going to learn more. So, first and foremost, you can click on the forward. It'll jump to page 2. This book is pretty interactable. But this is going to be like, you know, the lore as to like why you have the book and everything. Feel free to read that on your own time. If you want to jump back to the top of any section, you click the green text and you will go to the top of the section. If you want to go back to the table of contents, you click the Spiral Tome button and it'll bring you back to this page. So I'm going to go ahead and click on instructions, and that'll jump me to page 12, and you can see right here, yeah, it pretty much says the same thing that I said before. You need knowledge of the ability, enough will to cast it, and a casting focus. So the next instructions is, from this book, select the first ability available. It is free. From there, throw the caster from your inventory to turn it into a book. That will let you customize your caster. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Now, click on Standard Abilities. This is where your spells are located at that you can learn. Now, something to note about this KP number up here, this stands for knowledge points. And now, spells take knowledge points to unlock. So the first one is free, because it's got 0 here, and it's Fireball. The second one costs 5 knowledge points for Explosion. 10 knowledge points for landmine, 15 knowledge points for fire aura, so on and so forth. Now, if you get enough knowledge points together, you can also ascend into a secondary class. And this is different for every spell line. For fire, I can either spec into lightning or magma, but I'll get to that later. For now, though, I'm going to go ahead and click on Fireball, and you'll see that it says that I've unlocked Fireball down there, and I'm just going to follow the directions on the in the tome. So to bind it, you just throw out the caster, and you'll get a spell modification book. Don't worry, you can get the caster back by throwing out the spell modification book, and it'll turn back into a caster. So nothing to worry about there. By opening this up, you can do a few different things. You can bind any spell to any one of these control keybinds. On the second one are some options of whether or not to get the caster on death or get the spiral tome on death, because whenever you die, these things leave your inventory and they will be deleted. So I've made a system to where you will automatically get them if once you respawn. You can turn it off if it becomes overbearing, not that huge of a deal. The third page is your casting power. Now, by default, everything is cast at level 1, but you can come in here and change the casting power that is assigned to each of these casting methods. So if you hover over them, you can kind of get a description of what it is. Level 1 is just effect times 1, will cost times 1. At level 2, the effect is doubled, but the will cost is tripled. And at level 3, the effect is tripled and the will cost is quintupled. So you're probably going to have to be a little bit higher level, have a little bit more will at your disposal in order to increase your casting power. So if I just come back in here, I can click on left click, or pretty much anything, and you'll see that I have a new message in here that says click on the spell you wish to bind to left click. Now, I do have a mark team spell in here, which is basically just it will mark, it does exactly what it sounds like. It'll invite people to your team, so that way your offensive spells don't trigger on them. But I'm going to go ahead and do the fireball, and so now it says I've changed the ability bound to left click into fireball. So now, if I go back to holding my caster, I tell you what, I am a little bit hungry, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just, if I use left click, that keybind that I bound this to, and if I just left click, you'll see it casts the spell. And now I have something to eat. You'll notice that once I cast that spell, my will, this number right here, it went from 1,000 to 500. And in fact, I'll do it again, and you'll see now it's slowly counting back up. As the book says, you need to have will in order to cast that. Something else that happened is that you'll notice that once I cast this burnout number, it also went up to 5 and started counting out down to 0. So in order to cast the spell, you have to have enough will, and your burnout has to be at 0. Now, not to worry, at higher levels, your burnout will be significantly less, which means that you'll be able to cast spells quicker, sooner, what have you. But you'll see if I just go ahead and spam this, it says you must wait before casting again. That's when the burnout is up, and now it says you do not have enough will to cast that. That is what happens when I don't have the necessary will to cast it. But as soon as I do, I can cast it. Not a problem. So it does take a little bit, just starting out, to go ahead and level up and stuff. Oh, speaking of level ups, you'll notice that this number right here in the middle, that's my spell casting level, or not my casting level, my spiral level, I guess you could say. And the way that you increase that is just by casting spells. It's the same system as on Duality, only I've made it more choice-based rather than randomness, I suppose. So if I go ahead and throw out the Spiral Tome, which will reset it, and I go into Empowerment, this is basically your player stats. You can see that I have cast that spell 5 times out of 100 times. And whenever I reach the 100, I will level up. So I'll have to cast this spell 100 times. So if I go ahead and cast that, it was 5, now it'll be 6. Now it'll be 7. And if I go back into empowerment, yes, it's 7 out of 100. All right, so I've gone ahead and done a little bit of tinkering just to show you what it's like to level up. So right now I go in here, I have 98 out of 100, so which means that I just have to cast this spell 2 more times. So 1 and 2. And there you go. You can see that I leveled up. Now the cool thing about leveling up is that my will, instead of being at 1,000, I now have 1,110. I'm on level 2. And what that has done is that has given me 2 knowledge points that I can use to spend. So every time you level up, you get 2 knowledge points. Now, that's not enough to unlock any spells. If I wanted to save those knowledge points, I would have to, I'd have to be on level 4 before I'd be able to afford Explosion, which is not that big of a deal. Or I can come in here and I can go ahead and increase some of these attributes. So if I just do this and then do this, you'll notice I have an extra heart down there, and I can actually /effect give instant health 1. There we go. Yeah, you have to actually heal in order for the heart to show up. So yeah, I have my vitality is now on 2. Now, you can use this as a system to store your points, okay? So if I just decrease my vitality, you'll see that it goes down. And if I refresh the book, I now have 1 knowledge point at my disposal. So you don't have to, like, save those points permanently. You can choose to, like, say, oh, I have 2 knowledge points at my disposal. I can go ahead and put them into speed, right? And now I'm a little bit faster. I can move around a little bit better. But whenever I get to level 4, I'll just take those points out of speed and I'll put them into I'll put them into learning a new spell. That's totally fine. You can totally do that. That's how I set it up. But I'm going to go ahead and reduce my speed and increase my willpower. Yeah, so now I have willpower 2. Now the willpower is something that is related to your will down here. This. So the more willpower that you have when you level up, the more maximum will that you will get. So you'll see that when I leveled up, I got 110 will added to my maximum will pool. But now that I have 2 will in there, it will make this even larger, even faster. So let me go ahead. Something else that happens whenever you have willpower is if I go ahead and cast this spell, you'll see that my will is on 200 whatever. I can hold down Shift while holding the caster, and it will charge up faster. And the higher your will is, the faster it'll charge up. So that's how you can get your will back quicker. All right, so I want to take this opportunity to also kind of show you something else that we've got. You'll notice that I got 20 shards of knowledge in my inventory. So casting spells is not the only way to level up. The other thing that we're going to have in Everdark is going to be dungeons and stuff that you can go into. And inside of the loot tables are going to be shards of knowledge. Now, they're probably not always going to be the average shards of knowledge. They're probably going to be the lesser ones. But if you right-click these, you'll notice that I go up by a level each time, or several levels. quite a bit of levels. The lesser shards will only take you up 1 level, but the greater ones the average ones will take you up 5 levels, and the large ones will do 10 levels at a time. So that's another way that we're gonna let people level up a lot quicker than what you might expect. So now that I'm on level 94, I have 184 knowledge points available to me, so I can literally learn a bunch of different spells and do a bunch of different empowerment stuff. But I want to go ahead and unlock the Ascension. Now, the way that this works is that you can only pick one of these, and once you go into one of these Ascensions, it basically unlocks more spells for you within that element. And I like lightning, so I'm going to pick lightning. So now I've got a new book. I have new spells available to me. I can still learn the old ones, of course, but now I've just got more spells. So I've got 7 more spells that I can go ahead and learn, which is pretty easy. Once again, throw out the spellcaster, and I'm going to bound this one to right-click. Lightning Bolt. Yeah! Yeah! It's so freaking cool. And then crouch left click. I guess I'll put incinerate on that. Oh, how much does it actually cost to cast? 1,500. Oof. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there. And yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, the spell system can get kind of crazy, kind of quickly. That's kind of what I envisioned there. Now, as I said, you can each one of these spell lines has their own ascension, and not only that, but there's another one that you can actually get called the Grand Spells. Now, the Grand Spells are not done yet, and they are not going to be done on launch. That's the thing. I will put a ping in the Discord to let you guys know when the Grand Spells are done, okay? But let me tell you what, it's going to be worth the wait. It's going to be worth the wait. Trust me. Trust me on this. Trigger help. So as I said before, if I go ahead and reset the progress and pick a different one, each one of these spells has a different ascension line. So darkness, you get death and spirit. In earth, you get metal and crystal. In air, you get aether and sound. In space, you get void and chaos. Speaking of void and chaos, hello? That was not the spell system. That was literally an Enderman that just came out of nowhere. But anyway, yeah, so that is the basics of the spell system. Once again, once you get into the game, feel free to read the forward and instructions. It is a lot deeper. It explains what will is. It explains the process of leveling up. It explains how parties work. It explains what empowerment is. It has helpful commands in here. The /trigger help command is pretty good. Yeah, and then throughout for the lore, I've typed out a bunch of lore for it, and it's crazy. Anyway, I've been Devin Hatt. Thank you for watching this demonstration of the Spiral Spell System 2.0, and I hope that you guys are excited for the release of Everdark as I am. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the server. Bye-bye!